Now, we haven't covered this guy in quite a while. This is 5 reasons why I left the left and woke ideology. So, this guy, you might remember him. We talked about him a very long time ago. He is back to let us know all the different reasons why he left the left. And I have a theory. My guess is that it's going to be for a bunch of really dumb, ignorant reasons. And he's just not going to even know the first thing about it.
Black Lives Matter. I used to be in the streets marching with BLM until I realized that they only care about black lives when it's at the hands of a white man. I used to believe that I would get shot and killed by the police just for being black until I realized that more people get struck by lightning than black unarmed men get shot by the police. I also
Okay, yeah, there's a huge difference between somebody being victimized by a random weather event and somebody's likelihood of being victimized by the state, by police brutality at the hands of the state. Even if somebody is more likely to get struck by lightning, there's nothing we can really do about that. But if it's true that black people are more likely to be victimized by police brutality, there is something we can do about that. So you're just like comparing something that we can't have no control over to something that we have complete control over.
used to believe that America was the most horrible and racist country to be in until I traveled abroad to other countries and realized and understood why so many people try to immigrate here in the first place. Black Lives Matter really took my fear of being black to the next level. For so long, I felt that because I was black, I had to just go along with the narrative. I have to be a Democrat. I have to stand with BLM. But that couldn't be further from
Okay, so again, maybe you're a dumb sheep who just goes along with the crowd, but like that's not what everybody does.
the truth. You're allowed to come to your own conclusions and think for yourself. I went down to my first BLM rally back in 2017 and I was just taken aback at what I saw. It was my first and last rally. Why is it that when I was bringing up black on black crime or the lack of fathers in the home, all of a sudden I'm deflecting? All of a sudden I'm an
Because, well, first of all, people saying that's deflecting, that's not really a great response. Fair. However, because when you bring that up, you're ignoring the fact that Black Lives Matter as a movement exists to raise awareness about systemic racism and systemic inequality. And so when you talk about black on black violence, well, why is there a disproportionate amount of violence in some of these black communities? It's because there's disproportionate rates of poverty. And why is there disproportionate rates of poverty? It's because of historical racist policies like redlining, etc. There are systemic reasons why we see the issues that we see nowadays in the black community. Same with the lack of black fathers. We have the war on drugs right now. This is disproportionately targeting black communities. This is locking black men up for drug offenses when white people don't always get locked up the same way. This is a systemic problem that's negatively impacting the black community, and that's what the Black Lives Matter movement aims to address. So when you go over and you're like, police brutality, what about black on black violence? Then it kind of does sound like you're deflecting almost, because you're failing to acknowledge how that actually plays a role in the overall systemic racist narrative.
Why? I thought this was Black Lives Matter and we're going to talk about all the black lives that are being lost. But that wasn't the case. And then while I was sitting there, I'm like, why are they going towards the interstate and marching and blocking traffic? What does this have to do with anyone that's merely just going about their day? What does this have to do with anybody or an ambulance that's behind that can't get to the hospital now because you sit here blocking traffic because you think you're oppressed for being a black man in America? Child, it turned me off so much. It was the liberal media, Democrats, BLM telling me that white supremacy is a threat to black people in America.
So because you went to one rally and didn't like the behavior of the people there, you were like done with the overall political movement? Also, yeah, protesting and blocking roads is really stupid, but like the goal of the Black Lives Matter movement is to be seen, to be heard. So getting up in front of, or I guess getting in the middle of a highway and trying to promote your message is one way of doing that. I don't approve of it. I would never be in support of that. Don't block traffic. Don't block ambulances. You're not really going to help your cause. But at the end of the day, if you're rejecting the entire movement because of some bad behavior you saw one time, you're an idiot.
And I'm sorry, it's just not. When was the last time a black person's life has been affected by someone in a white hood? The Klansman is the least of my worries here in
Okay,
America.
so he has this ridiculously high bar for racism then, that in order for white supremacy or systemic racism or racism to even be a thing still, there still needs to be Klans members running around with the white hood. Yep. Bravo. Yeah, no, that's not what this means, actually. What it means is that there are still systemic inequalities, though. For example, white people on average have far more wealth than black people on average. Why is this? There are historical reasons. There's reasons why black communities have been unable to acquire generational wealth, whereas white communities were able to.
BLM wanted me to believe that white people are damaging black lives, but I don't see how. During 2020, it wasn't the KKK that was out here shutting down streets, it was black people.
Okay. What's his other reason? This is so stupid.
The LGBTQ community. Why should what I do?
Oh no, the gay community? Wait, this guy's gay and I know it, and I'm not saying that as an insult. I know he's gay, so like, what's he gonna say for this?
Why should what I do in private automatically define my worldview, politics, habits, and culture? How come if one is gay, they're automatically lumped into this LGBTQ community, but if someone's straight, they're just straight? Like, why can't gay people have that? There's no straight community.
The LGBT community is an umbrella term that refers to a category of people. It doesn't mean that now that you've come out as gay, you need to attend the weekly LGBTQ meetings. You don't need to go to the weekly trans agenda meetings.
Straight people don't make being straight their entire identity, but for some reason for gays, that is their entire identity. And then it's like me saying that.
Actually, conservatives make gay people out as if it's their entire identity. I mean, there's a gay teacher at school. Well, she's probably trying to brainwash and groom the kids, right? She can't possibly just be a teacher existing as a teacher and happen to be gay. No, she must have some ulterior agenda. A lot of the times, it's the conservatives that make it sound as though LGBT people are all the same, that they all think the same way, that having this identity defines them entirely. That's oftentimes what we experience.
Automatically makes me some type of homophobic person, even though I'm gay. Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up, y'all. The LGBTQ community and Democrats and liberals have just gone extremely too far left for me. You'll find drag queens reading to little kids. They're pushing the transitioning on the little kids. They're
pushing the transitioning on the little kids. No, they're not. Drag queens reading to kids in a library. Is the drag queen doing anything inappropriate? No. Like, then who cares? If somebody's dressed up as a drag queen, they're reading like Green Eggs and Ham to the classroom of kids. Who fucking cares? How is this any different than anyone else wearing a Halloween costume in front of kids?
And pushing, you know, these pride parades that are that's full of nothing but degeneracy onto these children. It's just nothing there, and it's too much for me.
This video is full of degeneracy because this is just pathetic. Also, maybe if we taught more people about being gay and what it meant to be gay, and had more people understand that, hey, this thing doesn't define you entirely as a person, then maybe we would see more acceptance.
Crazy, because it's the LGBTQ community and the Democrats that swear up and down that they're the party of diversity and inclusion and acceptance, but no, they're only for equality if your thoughts are equal to theirs. That's it. Other than that, you're kicked out. You don't think it's okay for men and women to share the same locker room? You're transphobic now. You don't think it's okay for men and women to compete in sports?
Maybe it's actually that you're acting transphobic by refusing to give any nuance to these very nuanced issues. Like, it's going to depend on the sport. There are some sports in which cis men or cis women and trans women can compete, and it's a fair, meaningful competition. There are some sports where it's not always the case. Maybe if you accepted, or maybe if you addressed this topic with a little more nuance, it wouldn't be as easy to just call you transphobic.
And labeled a bigot, homophobic, transphobic, the list goes on. And I just got tired of it. It's ghetto. It's played out. I don't need any of that. And you don't either. They're here saying that all Republicans are homophobic. Where? If anything, I see that Republicans just want the kids out of it. But when it comes to being...
Really? Because aren't Republicans the ones constantly passing legislation to block trans people, regardless of their age, from seeking certain medical treatment that might be highly beneficial for them? Isn't it the white evangelical Christians who are the most or the least accepting of gay people and trans people in this country? I mean, sure, not every single Republican hates gay people, fine. But a good many of them don't like gay people.
Gay, yeah, they don't like it, but shit, I don't like straight people. I don't like what straight people do in bed, and straight people don't like what gay people do in bed. We can agree to disagree and keep it pushing, and that's what I do see them doing, is keeping it pushing, but it's the liberals, it's the Democrats that start holding us back. Kids this, trans this. Leave it alone. When you really look at it for what it is, I'm hard pressed to find some Republicans that really do genuinely hate me. Are they there? Yes, there's fringes on both sides.
Yeah, and 10 years ago, you just being gay was degenerate. 10 years ago, you being a gay guy saying, hey, I'm gay and I'm proud about it. I'm out, I'm proud, whatever. That was the woke agenda. And progressives came along and pushed against that, and now it's okay and normal for you to be gay. Conservatives were the ones fighting against that the whole time. The border wall? Oh no, what?
The border wall. How can we sit here and complain about how bad America is, how America doesn't give a crap about its citizens, how we need to change, how we need to fix inflation, etc., etc., but then we're also fine with giving free housing credit cards, health insurance, all these perks to illegal immigrants. Like the
Wait, the headlines you just showed said migrants, undocumented immigrants, migrant families, migrant.
all these perks to illegal immigrants. Like the Democrats are raving about how bad America is, but then they're quick to usher in all these illegal immigrants. Like that's low-key kind of fake. Like if America is as bad as you say it is, why do you want more people to come here? If you care about these people, why would you want to bring them into the place that you hate the most? What, so they can see how bad?
So this is just a straw man that like the Republicans, or excuse me, this is a straw man that the Democrats are just hating America the most. Their whole platform is built on hating America. The Democrats really take the position more so that like, hey, this country's made a lot of progress, but we could be doing more. We could do better. We have a long way to still go. And again, that's an American value. Part of our freedom of being an American is our ability to criticize America, is our ability to say, hey, I'm an American, I care about this country, and I think this country could still be better. That's part of our freedom of an American. So he's kind of straw manning by assuming the Democrats are just like, America's terrible. Hey, let's bring in a bunch of immigrants to America. That's terrible. Like, clearly this isn't what's happening. They just think America could be better.
Bad it is. It's like clearly they're coming over here for a reason, and that reason being is because how great America is and all the benefits that they're getting on behalf of the Democrats pushing for these policies. Like honestly, like even when I was more liberal, this is one of the topics that I was always on the fence about because it genuinely just didn't even make sense from a rational standpoint, a realistic viewpoint. I don't know, it never made sense. The opposition to proper security just never clicked with me. We all have locks and doors to protect our own homes. There's a lot of us.
You can't compare individually owned property to a fucking nation, first and foremost. Okay. Second of all, where is this notion that like we don't care about protection? A lot of the times Republicans will say there's a border crisis, and their data for this is that there's an uptick in border encounters. When in reality, encounters just means that Biden's border patrol team encounters an immigrant, says, nope, you're not allowed to come in here, sends them back. The same immigrant comes back. Now that's counted as 2 encounters. A lot of the times, the very data Republicans try and use to say there's a big immigrant crisis is actually data showing that Biden's immigrant team is stopping illegal immigration.
Live in gated communities, not even just for home, but gated apartment building complexes to protect our own little community. We have armed guards and security to protect our banks, our politicians, our celebrities. Yet for our own country, there's people and politicians advocating for nothing. It doesn't make sense.
No one's advocating for nothing. There's literally nobody advocating for nothing.
I mean, how are you as a politician, some of these people, living behind a 24/7 gated community, but you want open borders for America? Miss Ma'am, you don't even live behind open borders yourself. And on top of that, I'm a racist for wanting civil border protection and building a wall. Like, how is that anything racist when you're the same people hippering and hollering?
It's not racist. It's actually just retarded because keeping immigrants out does nothing but negatively impact our economy and the overall well-being of this country. Like, we could just as easily, like you said, Democrats say America sucks, but then you want immigrants coming here, huh? That's weird. We could do the flip side. You say America's great. Why don't you want people to come here? You say America's so awesome and wonderful. Why don't you want people to be able to immigrate here and enjoy the benefits of this wonderful, amazing country? We could just flip it around on you. So yeah, nobody wants an open border. And really the border wall thing wouldn't have stopped illegal immigration. And since illegal immigration tends to bring benefits, illegal immigrants commit less crime, they pay more into social services than they take out. Since there's not really a negative being brought from these immigrants, the best thing to do is to make the process to become a legal citizen easier and more accessible so that we can legalize more people, have more legal citizens that still bring the same benefits, and they will all have social security numbers. We can track them, make sure that we're still prioritizing the safety and security of this country.
For Ukraine and Palestine, for them to have protection, for them to have a border, for them to secure their country. Now you care about security? Where's the consistency here? I remember back when President Trump wanted to build a border wall and everybody kept talking about, oh, it's too much money, it's too expensive. I'm sorry, the amount of money he was asking for is equivalent to the price of a new football stadium. It's not that much money in the grand scheme of things. At that, we just gave nearly $100 billion to Ukraine so we can protect Ukraine, we care about them, but we don't even protect and care about our own border, about all the drugs.
We do protect and care about our own border. And when you talk about the drugs and everything else, these are coming in through different ports of entry. If you had a big ass border wall, those ports of entry would not cease to exist. You would still see the same issues.
Smoke it in. Like mentioned in my border video, we got Indians, Chinese people, Russian people flying into Mexico to come up and into our country illegally. We got women and children out here being branded. And
we have Asians. We got Chinese people. I mean, slow the fuck down. Wow, this is just so terrible. Okay, let's go to his other reason why Woke ideology.
Woke ideology. I'm so tired of this fake diversity that the left media and Democrats are pushing onto everybody. It's played out, it's old, it's dusted. I'm tired of it. We need black representation. We need gay representation. We need women representation. We're sick of it. Just give me quality. All I want is quality. I want a quality business.
Good thing I don't care about what you are sick of and what you're not sick of, because at the end of the day, representation is incredibly beneficial. I mean, this guy's gay. He's obviously has no shame about that, which he shouldn't. And yet, a while ago, it was a very shameful thing. Gay people were treated really badly. And you know what? The media, specifically, by featuring positive gay representation, actually increased the normalization and acceptance of gay people throughout the 60s and 70s. Media played a significant role in normalizing minority groups. The same can be said with racial minority groups. Having diversity and representation and prioritizing this, it's more than just make sure we have a black guy in here. It's that right now black people are disproportionately depicted in media as thugs and villains and criminals. And so positive black representation goes a long way. It has the ability to further improve things. So when you say just give me quality, fine, there should be quality. Quality is important, of course, when it comes to media production, but representation also matters. It plays a huge role.
I want a quality doctor. I don't want, and I'm sure you don't either. I don't want the first black trans woman heart doctor. No, if I'm getting heart surgery, I'm sure for myself and I'm sure for you, you just want the best doctor. Forget who it is. You want the best, supreme top heart surgeon. That's what we should be caring about. The merit, the quality of the people and who they are. Between this whole
Yeah, okay. But there right now are issues still where sometimes people's merits are not appreciated due to unconscious biases and systemic racism. So, for example, we know that there's lack of opportunity in some black communities. We also know, now based on two different studies, one done in 2003, one done in 2017, both of which found that resumes, if you have a black sounding name, we're less likely to get calls back, or we're less likely to get called back. That means that even if you have all, or even if you meet all of the necessary standards, that just if your name sounds ethnic, you're less likely to get that opportunity. They've done these studies where they have identical resumes. The only difference is one name sounds black and one name is like Jake Smith or something. White people, the white sounding name, is more likely to get a call back. So even when he talks about representation and how you want the best doctor, you care about quality, that's true, but sometimes the best quality is literally neglected because the best quality is attached to a diverse sounding name. So again, all of this plays a huge role in systemic racism here, plays a huge role in all of this.
representation thing and affirmative action, I really do feel like it sets so many of us back, because now you got people out here really thinking and questioning their own self-worth, and then the people outside looking within thinking, did they even deserve to be here in the first place? Did this woman get the job?
Yeah, that's because that's not how affirmative action really works. Affirmative action is not just give the job to a black person. Affirmative action actually aims to provide more opportunity to certain areas. So job resumes or job openings might be sent out more so to certain communities. It doesn't mean that just because you're black, you get hired.
Because of her resume, or did she get the job because she's a woman and we need a woman on the board? Did this black actor get this role?
So because some people are racist and are going to assume that this black person only got the job because they're black, or because some people are sexist and assume this woman only got the job because she's a woman, we need to stop prioritizing representation because people are racist? What?
Because he's a good actor, or they needed to diversify the crew and they needed a black man on set. They truly have stripped people the opportunity to feel rewarded, to really feel like they accomplished something because of the merit and the quality they're putting in. And now you just have a lot of people just being picked based off the basis of their skin color, their
This
gender.
is just a lie. This is bullshit. This is nonsense that we have people that are not qualified that are just being picked solely for the ethnicity, for their ethnicity, for their diversity.
And who they're having sex with, and that's the opposite of what we've been striving for. We don't want to be judged like this, but all of a sudden, now with the identity politics, we are being judged this way. It honestly does just feel like a lot of liberals are confusing this idea of diversity of representation with the diversity of thought. Because personally, I'd much rather listen to a panel of 4 white men who all think differently than a panel of 4 different races and skin colors who all think the same. Because yes, sure.
Yeah, but the likelihood of people thinking differently versus the same is going to vary. So like, if you have a panel of all white guys, just the fact that they look alike sometimes leads to feelings that you all think alike. So you might actually see less innovation or a less productive conversation just because they kind of have this preconceived notion that they all believe the same thing because they all look alike. However, this doesn't happen in more diverse groups. This is why diversity oftentimes fuels innovation.
Or does this panel of the 4 different races and genders, do they look completely different? Does it look diverse? Yes, but it's a panel of 4 white men who all think differently that's going to add more intellectual diversity to the conversations at hand. That's going to be a
Yeah,
fruitful
intellectual diversity would be stifled because there's a weird psychological thing that happens with people where if you're surrounded by similar looking others, you tend to assume that they think similarly to you as well.
conversation. There's going to be more debates. There's going to be more solutions. There's going to be more talking about what to come up with and what to create and further in this country. But to sit here and listen to a diverse panel of people who all look differently but they all think the same, that's not going to get us anywhere. Sure, it looks pretty. It looks like, oh my gosh, it looks like me. I can relate, yada, yada, yada. It looks pretty and cute. But in the long term, in the actual things that matter, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Like this woke idea.
Dude, this guy adds nothing to the conversation. How does he have 200,000 subscribers? You know what? I think this guy is only popular on YouTube because he's black. I think the algorithm promoted him. He was a diversity promote. Seriously though. Okay, so he left the left because he didn't understand the left. I knew that was going to be the case, but still.